Hey, it's Chris, Net Real Estate Advisors, and thanks for taking a look at this video. Just want to give you a brief overview of what we're seeing with what's happened. Just today we've had the 0.75% interest points or 75 basis points increase in the prime rates that's happened today. So we've seen consistent interest rate increases over the last few months, and it's to fight obviously inflation or these crazy prices that's going on right here. However, I want to take a deeper dive into what that means for you, for everybody else out there, and where we're seeing this market going to. Now, we have predicted this. I was actually thinking it's going to be a half a point. They went up a little bit more than that. So I have a few graphs I want to show you guys here, but understanding that your current situation, whether you're buying, selling, or if you're not doing anything right now, understanding what your situation is and how these interest rates are affecting you or could potentially affect you are the most important things. So if you have any other questions outside of this, please let me know. It's 5-minute just conversation. Hopefully will help put your mind at ease. It has for a few of my clients that have called today, really worried about, their variable rate, but static payment mortgages where they thought, oh, the interest rates are going up, but their payments are still staying the same. It's just the difference between their interest payment into principal. The interest has actually increased in terms of their payment, but their actual overall payment has stayed the same. So not to get too boring here, but I want to pull this up. Let me just share my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. Let's go into, I'm just going to pull this up real quick. So let's go to the overall board stats right here, what we've seen. If you've seen any of these videos I've done before, I like to see where we've come from to where we're going. Now, again, looking back to 2017, I always like to look backwards before we start looking forward to see where we've come from. And if you notice these two things, they look eerily similar. Now, if we're looking at 2017, we saw a massive spike in our prices. The first time really in my 18-year career, I've seen a very unbalanced market with very little supply and a ton of demand. Now, that had nothing to do with interest rate increases because the interest rate was the same the entire time. It was a basic supply and demand issue where prices were going through the roof because there was more buyers than there were homes being supplied to the market. What happened after, in May of 2017, they changed some mortgage rules where you would have to, go through the stress test. You might be able to get a 2.5% mortgage. However, you'd have to qualify at a certain amount, over 5%. So that drastically took the market down. It was also a foreign buyer tax that they put on for outside buyers. So it really dropped these prices down very quickly. Now, what happened was a smart thing where they gradually increased the interest rates, which made a ton of sense. And if you see this, it was a natural kind of your normal curve for our home prices increasing from 3 to maybe 6-7% on average per year is kind of the normal. Now, we saw this come into right before the pandemic in January 2000, so February 2020. The market was going because supply and demand as well. What did they do to fight the effects of Corona and the shutdowns? They dropped the rates basically overnight. Over a month period, they dropped it from almost 4 to less than 2.5. Which again, what happened there? We all saw this crazy run up because it was a supply and demand issue, yes, but it was exacerbated or magnified by the low interest rates. So people were getting cheap money. We saw it stay the same for 2 years. Again, whoever's at the helm here, I'm going to hold my tongue, but to go do this straight down and then we're going straight up. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I like the more conservative phasing in interest rate increases. However, Bank of Canada holds all the cards here, so we just have to kind of understand it and what's happening today. So we've actually just had this new increase. What we've seen here, we saw these incredible levels go up over the last, between 2020 and February 2022, we saw about a 45% increase. Now, what we've seen is we saw a decrease after these interest rate increases to about the same as where we were this time last year. And if you see right here, this little spike over the last week in September, we've actually seen an increase in activity and also prices, because as activity goes, prices go. And what we've seen here, even though this interest rate just happened or people knew it was going to happen, we saw a little bit of an uptick this past week. Reason being is that I think people were getting a little bit more aggressive after, August, kids are going back to school. And, knowing that these interest rates were coming, they want to lock something in. And so what we noticed back here, same thing, not exactly the same, but we saw a lull and it goes up and down and stays in this relative kind of balanced market, which I'm definitely predicting. My thoughts are we're going to see these prices go down to about 2020 levels, to where we were. Kind of all those quote unquote gains we had, that 45%, we're going to peel those all the way back to where we were in 2020, if not late 2019. So, and what's going to happen after that is we're going to see interest rates start to come down a bit, probably into the new year, but they are expecting at least one more interest rate increase by the end of the year. Now, all of this stuff, we can get nerdy and get all of this data, but what I really want people to know is let's understand your particular situation so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. Is there opportunity for buyers? Absolutely. First-time home buyers, right now, great time to buy. Prices are down. Interest rates are high compared to where they were, but they're still relatively low. My first home I bought almost 20 years ago, I was paying 9%. But also understand that interest rates will level off and go back down eventually. So it's a great time for first-time home buyers. For people that are buying up, selling a home, and then going into a bigger home, the difference between what you're selling for and what you're buying for is much smaller in terms of percentage-wise than it was when the market was hot. So a fantastic opportunity there. People that are downsizing, maybe getting out of their big home, if you can take that money, put it into another investment and buy something smaller, great opportunity there. For investors, long-term investors, I wouldn't buy a flip right now, but investors that are looking to hold a property and rent it out, maybe put an extra unit in there, great opportunity. For sellers, it's a great opportunity as well, because if you look back from where we came from, I still think the market is overall, if you look at this trend line, the green line there is still in the upwards position. Overall, in a great position compared to where we were this time last year as a seller. No, but we need to understand that there's market factors that we can't change. So understanding it is key. If you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully this is informative, and have a good day.